Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever. It's a ladder game on Emerald Crater 20x20 map. 20x20 land map, really the only one of its kind that I remember being on ladder. Most 20 by 20 maps have naval gameplay because naval units are a lot faster than land units and require a lot more mass. And generally you need a lot more space to use naval units then. But this is just land. And so air, very powerful. T1 land gonna be used quite a lot. I think back in the day it used to be a very tech heavy map. You just well, I'm not sure. I guess they would drop sides and then just turtle in their base and whatever side expansion they got and just eco up, play for late game, but that changed at some point and the map is quite dynamic now. That was a long time ago. So long ago that I'm just recalling, well, not recalling, but telling you from hearsay. So, it's a big map, takes a few minutes to get going because you only have 6 mexes in your base, and these back to you are quite far away actually. So it takes a while to get a mass income that's decent. You're gonna be stuck on 2-3 factories for a little while, and so it's very important that you use all of your units correctly and have a build order that means you're not wasting your time or well, actually Thomas just wasted some time walking all the way to the other side of the hydro. And he's made 3 labs and a scout. Labs very popular on this map because the engineers moving in all directions and they're very, very vulnerable. So early on you want to go pretty heavy on land scouts or air scouts I should say, and we're going to see transport early on. You do want to make an early transport because you have expansions quite far away. So usually you want to just walk engineers to most of these positions and then you fill in the gaps with the transport. So the transport is going to try and take one of these sides generally, and then after that fill in the gaps where you got raided and you just yeah, grab the mexes that have been denied and try and deny your opponent's mexes of course before that. So the labs run past each other. Torrent, lab scout, lab scout. Thomas I think is doing a slightly better job by not having so many land scouts. Only made 1 land scout. And the rest he's gonna just use air scouts to do it, and this mech marine is getting crushed. I feel like the mech marine is actually pretty trash in lab fights, and lab versus lab is the most most relevant lab battle you can have. It doesn't really matter how good a lab is versus tanks because they all fucking suck against them. Blair looks quite cool, isn't it? Got his engineer kill. Denied the factory that's going up, and maybe some distant future he'll kill that mech. Torrent making beeline for this guy, and that's going to be 1 for 1. Meanwhile, an engineer is spotted. He's being closely guarded by a tank, and over here the lab just runs past the tank. There goes this engineer here, and with this engineer under attack, but no serious danger. Striker didn't stray too far. Slab runs in between the tank and the ACU to move to the corner. 1 mech goes down. Maybe the second one will be saved by the incoming striker. Transport is finished. There's a land scout coming into the base, which may actually spot the transport. And look. Ooh. Oh, brutal. I love this. People don't run land scouts. People don't use land scouts as scouts enough. They just you can very often just run land scouts into bases if you're careful. And you look at the value he just got out of that land scout. Just runs into the base. No tank could just come out of the factory. Or any of the factories. There's quite a few factories in the base already. But he spots the transport and he's tailing it instantly. Instantly going after it. This lab's gonna hide in the corner, wait for an engineer. This kind of spot is probably gonna be dropped, and oh, he just survives. That was close. That was very close. Probably could have left the transport a bit closer and you could have reclaimed it. That's some detail. So the engineers move over. They're not building anything. I thought he would just instantly rush a factory. Maybe he doesn't have mass. Well, he does. He probably should just throw up a factory. Just to be safe, but I guess the ACU is not far away. Throws up a radar, sees there's nothing nearby, and he can actually just sort of delay and just be a bit greedier and grab mexes and hydro and stuff instead. And while the ACU is on his way, doesn't actually need to build defenses or factories. And some bad rally point here. Never want a rally point like that. It looks like a pretty damn nice eco bar from Torrent. So he's edge building a factory here, which is a bit safer than walking the whole way around. See, at this side, the opening is basically a straight line. But over on this side, you have to walk the whole way up here and back down, so it's safer and probably about the same speed to just build the factory here. As long as you don't stall mass or power while you're doing it. If you don't have mass to do that, well, then you goofed this lab. Oh, nice kill here. That's 2 big engineer kills. Well, decent engineer kills. This one is bigger than the first one, probably. Bomber comes in. Oh, a scout comes overhead as Thomas is preparing his drop. Sees the tank, clears him out with the bomber, comes in to drop the units. Very nice execution there. And Thomas has so many units in middle, and Torrent has none because he has 8 units in his base that should be moving across the map, and Thomas has the far slower units, but I mean, can't really be slower than idle tanks in the base, so they're doing pretty good. Needs to get this Hydra up pretty quick, sort out the power problem. His good eco balance has turned into bad eco balance as he grabs quite a few more mexes. And maybe also he built another air factory, I think. It's quite expensive to be making this transport right now. Might have been a bit of a mistake there to have 3 air factories and assist the transport and stuff. But he's going to be dropping somewhere. Oh, we have a drop from Thomas now. This is the transport that dropped in here. Oh, another tank came in and get 3 kills. Brutal. And now the dodging from Torrent. He actually... Oh my goodness. Who says this game is not about micro? 5 kills on a T1 tank. Just killed all the engineers. Well, there's 1 engineer here, and he killed tanks thanks to his nice dodging. The middle completely secured by Thomas. Thomas was moving to the right here. Oh, it looks like got a little raid. And this lab still lives, but yeah, Thomas was moving right with his ACU. Sees the Torrent is here. Torrent has a PD. Torrent has factories. Torrent has build power. He's secure. Just moves to the left. He's going to take the middle. He has got all these factories up. You remember Torrent lost his engineer that was trying to build a base here, and he lost it to that lab. And on the other side, Thomas did not take that damage and got a base up, and he looks very good in mid. He has all this production near the middle, so he should be quite secure there. And it looks like Thomas has more units, or at least pretty equal. Yeah, it's very even. Very even unit count. Thomas is making some... Well, he's already got T2 air. I missed that quite badly. And just having a couple of gunships around is very nice for cleaning stuff up. So he kills this and then gets the transports to work. Again, fill in where you got raided. And speaking of raids, this is a decent raid from Thomas. 3 mechs going to go down, and there's actually more tanks arriving, so this is not going to be a case of just redropping. He needs to send tanks there to clean that out. However, Torren is actually taking the left side. Has a factory up PD, anti-air radar, looking good for him. Oh, he's getting another PD. I think he needs to prioritize the mass because he is losing map control, and this base, this is the exact right way to do it. When you do these proxy base on well, in most scenarios, but in this scenario as well, on this map, when you proxy the corner, you want to build up some units before you send them in. You don't want to just set your rally point into the mexes because that gives them time to react. Maybe they can repel the first couple of units and then react to get a PD up and stuff. So you want to make it so that you attack when they just cannot stop you. And has Torren actually spotted this? Oh, he has. Now, when did he build that radar? I'm not sure. I feel like he just built it and also maybe misplaced a PD template there. Torren dropping the top right side, but the engineers are idle. He's also going T2 in the ACU. I'm not sure why what the plan is for that, but I think this looks quite bad on the left. And Thomas can probably stop making units now and just needs to go grab those mexes, maybe capture the Hydra. I think the lab took out an engineer here expanding, but it was redropped. We have a factory up. No tanks left here, but it doesn't look like they got killed. Oh, they moved down to the south trying to raid these outer mexes, and they get cleaned up. And now we have a situation where moving in with a few T on land units is not going to do anything for Turin because there is T2A on air, and you can see Thomas just slowly getting some assists and upgrading those mexes one by one. Meanwhile, Turin has no T2 mexes at all, and that might end up being the difference. Oh, Turin only now sees what's happening. Just attention lost for a while. A lot of units here. And a nice wall. So yeah, definitely time to stop making units. Maybe get a transport down here and ferry some units off the edge of this plateau. And then try and do some more damage because could leave some units behind to defend, but this many units is sort of wasted here in this corner. Oh, he's making the gun as well now. Now, I don't really understand why you make T2 and gun here unless you have T2 air to drop your ACU somewhere. Because from this position, I mean, where can you go to? You can move towards mid, but you're gonna need, well, you're gonna need flak and probably a pillar army and maybe even shield, parashield. And actually now look at the income. It's quite bad for Turin. He's only on 47 mass. No T2 mexes. And meanwhile, Thomas has just finished his 4th mex. And middle is winning right now versus the two sides. Now this helped a great deal. This bottom left corner, taking away a lot of income that Turin desperately needed, and now Turin trying to get back into the economy with a lot of assists. You can see his reaction here. You do have to catch up, but how many pillars do we have? We only have 2 pillars. Only 2 pillars. So Thomas went for the very, well, he went for very fast T2 air, and he also was consistently ecoing quite nicely, and that's just left him with a very nice advantage versus Torn, who still cannot defend this. Can't defend his, well, he lost his bottom left to a proxy, and his attempt at the top right was not as good and failed. And other attacks on the other sides have not yielded too much. The gunships in the air done quite well, and his ACU's been paused for a long time. So I think, yeah, I think on this map you can make a fast, powerful commander. You can make a powerful commander quickly. Another land scout runs into the base. Very nice. And look, he's scouting now for his TML, which he's made. He also has T2 radar here. Now let's see how the gunships do versus all these anti-airs. I think there might be too many anti-airs. Some of them are running away though, not shooting. Yeah, and you can see when he moves, he actually is dodging shots from the gunships. So you can actually circle dodge with these things. You can just circle around and dodge quite a lot of shots, if not all. Yeah, you see, if this gun commander, well, gun commander in waiting could be just dropped right next to Thomas's ACU, that would be pretty nice. As it is though, we're waiting. TMD has gone up though. Good reaction from Uba. And oh, look at the balance. And now we have a gigantic mastodon. It's looking good for a while though. And the gun is complete. And we have 5 flanks and 4 pillars. You can see where he thinks the danger is. He's not really afraid of the land army, more so the air support. And he's moving towards the base. Actually, he's got an air scout ahead, you can see. Actually, an out of fuel air scout. And now as he leaves, he's getting raided behind his ACU. And there she goes. Another T2 radar here. Thomas very aware of the dangers of drops, but there is no T2 air, so he shouldn't be too scared. And actually, all these T2 radars are way too expensive. He doesn't have them. Doesn't have them surrounded by P-gens. They're actually quite expensive. And now we wait. Oh, T3 land is finished for Thomas, and he's just finished another T2 P-gen to pay for all those T2 radars. And we have a couple harbs out. Do we have a transport in the making? We do. Oh, and this left expansion now goes down as well. All these Aurora can actually kill the PD without radar. The T1 PD cannot see the Auroras shooting it from out of range. You have to have a radar versus Aurora when you're making those T1 PDs. So, a few things I would have liked. We needed more drops. I don't think Torn really. Maybe because Torn had both the sides, he felt a bit too confident. Maybe he didn't realize how the map control was split, because Thomas had the eco advantage. And then in terms of map control, it was actually pretty much even or slightly in Thomas's favor, because he has all this mid, which never got damaged and didn't really get challenged at all in the game, as Torn steps into this expansion to take it over forcibly. Spreading democracy. Oh! This was a radar, and I think it just got bombed, and now we have a drop of 2 harbs directly into the base. And they move in, taking out TMD, and there's nothing in the base. There's 5 pillars. PD's desperately going up immediately. Both TMDs are down, and now the T2 PGen is going down. Actually, the only one that Torin has. And already the TMLs are flying, so these harbs may or may not die, but it doesn't really matter because this TML is flying in, and Torin is trying to build one. The one unit that was building it just died to that TML. And there's not even multiple TML, just one TML. There goes the T2 land HQ. And another TML coming in. All of these mexes will die. This TMD way too far back to actually protect anything. Only 1 harb remaining, but T2 PGen dead. Multiple mechs is going to be dead, and the T2 HQ is dead. And over here, 3 harbs, I mean, and snipers coming out. And Turin is thrown in the towel. Oh no, everything died. That makes it harder to comment on what the fuck happened. Well, yeah, I think Turin overestimated his map control actually. He was thinking, I have both the sides feeling good, but this is just 6 mexes each. There's 8 in the middle. And then we had the bottom corner get lost to this nice proxy. So overall, it was actually Warren Thomas's favor, plus he was early on the ecoing. I think the fast T2 air was very good. Allowed, well, the gunships and the bombers, and then you can get those swift winds up. And the earlier you start making the swift winds, the quicker you become completely dominant in air. And yeah, that T2 air proved a lot more valuable than the T2 land. It took so long for the T2 land. There's just a huge gap where you don't really have enough units out there because you haven't had enough production to really do damage. And when he was already behind in economy and slightly lacking map control, maybe Torrent should have been doing some, well, dropping the first couple of pillars to one of the corners maybe, or one of these expansions. Needed to look for places to do damage, maybe RT drops, maybe a proxy like Thomas invested in. But yeah, he needed to find different ways to do damage and get back into it. But probably he didn't realize he was falling behind quite so hard. Very nice finish from Thomas. Just moves up the tech level, goes to T3, and then does this nice joint attack where he has the TML here. The first couple of harbs get dropped to the front of the base after the radar is killed to stop the drop being spotted. And also he could just drop straight into the front of the base because he has such a forward position here that Torrent can't spot it until it gets very close, and then there's almost no time to react. And he goes down, and his HQ and his PGen goes down. So GG, well played Thomas and Torrent. Hope you enjoyed this cast, and I hope you enjoyed the next one too. I'll see you then.